Hi guys. We're going to keep moving forward on the five foundations of personal finance. So if you recall, foundation was save for an emergency fund, but really we could call it's just save money. Really is what it comes down to. We talked about the different reasons to save money. Those reasons were for an emergency fund. Sorry, let me put these on here. For large purchases and for wealth, like to grow wealth for when you're getting ready to retire. The second one was get out of debt. So we talked about for getting out of debt. We talked about your credit score. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean for that to be highlighted. We talked about your credit score. We talked about debit versus credit cards. We talked about overdraft fees. Okay, we talked about all those things of how not to get into debt so you can get out of debt. The next foundation, foundation 3, now I'm moving stuff all over the place here, was pay cash for your car. We did a simulation where you found a car on Craigslist or wherever, cars.com, and then you had to calculate what it would be like if you followed Dave Ramsey's model, which is where you bought a car, drove it for a year, saved money, and then sold the car and took your money you got from the car sale and the saved money and bought a newer vehicle. And so that way, after a few years, you'd be driving a nice vehicle with no car payment. In this, we also talked about the realities too, because sometimes those methods aren't for everybody. So we talked about different type of auto loan options. We talked about leasing, capital E there. We talked about leasing versus financing. We talked about new versus used vehicles as well. So we've had a lot of discussions for that. In addition to car, we also talked about home loans. This is just on another, I thought since we talked about auto loans, we might as well talk about home loans. So we talked about all the different types of home loans and things that go along with that nature. We talked about credit score again and how it affects those loans, and how if your credit score is really low, that you're going to end up not being able to get a loan, or if you do get a loan, your loan is going to be unfortunately making you pay back way more money than you ever even took out. So now we're going to move on to foundation 4, which is pay cash for college. You've all heard my story, I think, about how I got a full ride scholarship to college, and then I ended up not taking that full ride, and life led me in a different direction. But for my own children, and hopefully for you, I would love it if you could pay cash for college. It's not always feasible, but it can be done with sacrifice, hard work, and scholarships. So, and even if it can't, we'll talk about student loans too. Just because I like to round out everything, all of your options. Giving you only one path is not the right way to do this. So we're going to talk about real quick paying cash for college. You've seen this slide before where I've talked about the different ways that you can pay for college. So first there are scholarships. There are those academic scholarships for your grades, athletic scholarships for sports, competitive scholarships where you write essays or you do competitions for those. And then there's local, which are the ones that are handed out at the end of the school year, typically at your award ceremony. These you do not have to pay back. They are scholarships. Then there are grants. Grants are usually based on income, and they are needs-based. So that would be based on the number of people in your family, as in your immediate family, mom, dad, siblings, and your parents' income. You fill out FAFSA, which we've talked about already previously, and that will help determine whether or not you qualify for grants. Those also do not have to be paid back. I'm going to skip over student loans for now and go to the GI Bill. We've talked about the GI Bill with Sergeant Keck and Eddie they both talked to us about going into the military and basically covering all expenses for a bachelor's degree. We've talked quite in depth about the GI Bill, and I think it's important to mention it again. Another situation that you could find yourself in is tuition reimbursement, which this is what Mr. Hagen talked to us about. The company you work for pays your tuition, and once you graduate, typically you promise to continue to work for that company. Now, Mr. Hagen talked to us about the fact that his company did not make him say he needed to work for a specific amount of time for them, which is rare. So just to note that a lot of companies do make you work for them for a certain amount of time, so they feel like they've invested in you, and that your work, even though you got your degree for free, that you've worked for them and almost like paid it off. Lastly, we have student loans. Student loans can be government or private, and we've talked about this also. You have to apply for them. They have to be repaid over time with interest. Government loans have limits, but lower interest rates, and private loans tend to have higher limits, but higher interest rates. So when we go back and we're talking about Foundation 4, which is Pay Cash for College, we're really looking at these options: scholarships, grants, GI Bill, and tuition reimbursement. Because student loans is not considered paying cash for college. That's taking a loan for college. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just, if you have to do it, you have to do it. But what I'm saying is visit these 4 options first and then go to the student loan option. So on our checklist, you'll notice that it'll have the video lesson from right now on there. And then right here, it'll say explore scholarship types. I would like it if you could open this up. And then you will go up here to scholarship search. You can go ahead and fill this information out. You're not going to want to click yes here. You don't want all these weird emails, okay? Use your school email for this. And then you'll click next step. Your next step, it will give you some popular colleges based on your zip code. You can add these colleges if you want to. Like I might add Central and Saginaw Valley and Elma. You can also just continue filling this out. Your GPA, your home address, click next steps. The next step is going to ask you to select some majors. So this is what you would be interested in. Like for me, I would obviously, if I was going to college at this point, it would be education. You can put up to 10 in there. You can put interests in there. Say I'm a drawer. I don't know. Athletics, what are you in? Oh, maybe I'm in basketball. Whoops. Sometimes you have to click off with pop-ups. You can type in schools, that's ours. If you don't know this information, I don't think you have to put it. You can always look it up too. I think you guys have accounts on College Board or Khan Academy that you can look it up. You don't have to put that stuff. And what it will do is it will then show you different recruiting matches. Click no, just click continue to scholarship. And then what it will do is it will show you some scholarships that you could apply for. And I just want you to kind of look over these and maybe pick two scholarships, and then answer the discussion question about these scholarships. Okay, so like if I was going to click, I mean, it looks like you can even sort them. So like let's go by amount, maybe we'll go by. I don't know why it's not working, but anyway, so maybe I'm a good poet, so I would just click this one. It tells you about it, tells you who you can contact, and this is what you would use to look at it. You could always go back. This is a $500. These are $500 ones. Believe it or not, I actually won a scholarship off of this website when I was a senior in high school, so it does actually work. I won a $1,000 scholarship through the Aaron Peterson Foundation. So this was the scholarship. It was called the Aaron Peterson Fund. She was killed in the Virginia Tech shootings, And so in 2009, right there's me. I won $2,000 from this scholarship. I said 1,000. I thought it was only 1,000, but I guess it was 2,000. And then here's my thank you to them. So you do actually apply for these, and you can win, and you can start applying for some of them as early as now. So I want you to take a look at these, and then I want you to go ahead and answer the discussion question for the week. All right? So remember, we are on Pay Cash for College Foundation 4. Have good Thanksgiving, and I hope to see you soon.